So psychologically, I guess it's no more this awareness than that you'll probably be tired. Like, I think what people want to do is do something that leaves them in this eternally rejuvenated state. This is one of the sicknesses of the love and light culture, is this idea that the state you can perpetually exist in is this one of bliss and ease. And I would argue that it's almost the exact opposite. That if you're interested in a better world and you want to be an agent of manifesting that world, well, then you're the one at work. The people who are beaten down by the system, they're the ones experiencing the relief, right? Because you're working on their behalf. They have no ability to advocate for themselves. So you becoming an advocate and an agent, you are taking on some burden. You are being taxed. You are being expended for the betterment of all of these other people. It's a self-sacrificial bit of work, which means psychologically you should feel taxed and tired. It should feel redundant. You should feel beat up. And you are in that way walking in suffering with that particular group. That's how you align yourself to their cause. You have to take on their burden as your own. So psychologically, I would think you have to find yourself in a shared relationship, not only in pursuit of goal, but also in pain. That's not advocated in the modern era. It's this idea that you can you can be this like lovely, noble, moral, and ethical person and simultaneously feel entirely unburdened. Like, I don't know a leader like that. I've never seen a cultural revolution occur at any level that way. And Bayard Rustin, who was the formulator and organizer of the Million Man March, talked about when did your movement really take off? When did you know you'd be able to do this? And he said it was very simple. Once white people, Jews, Catholics, Protestants, people that were businessmen, senators, congressmen, political leaders, and local city officials jumped in and marched with us. When they took on this burden as their own, this cause as their own, both mentally and in body, boy, we fucking blew it up. All of a sudden, we ripped the whole nation in half, and it was like, here we go, this is how it's going to change. But it wasn't until that point. And that is a slow process to build that steam and momentum, and what's really frustrating is that we had all this lovely momentum and all this huge energy going this direction, and what happened was white people showed up, I'm going to say, generally in this perspective. I love you, I'm for you, but I will not take your burden. And that's a really big problem, because that means that every other group, aside from people of color, can count on the fact that dominant culture will cheer you and applaud for you and say, you're definitely doing the right thing. But when it comes time to actually show up for them, you'll be nowhere to be found. And the most disheartening thing about that is that's not even how we raise our kids. It's not even what we espouse as what we believe. It's not even a fucking American ideal at any level. We are defined and have historically been defined as the people who show up. Like, when we saw World War II and we saw what happened to Jews, we were like, no. And we showed up and men died. And we spent lives, human lives and family hearts on the loss of their sons and fathers and brothers, because we knew, long story short, while we are not Jewish, this is a human truth. This is the thing that matters about what we are as a species, and we just fucking won't let this be the story. And funny enough, when it comes to people of color, there always seems to be a gap between what white people and people in power see as members of their story. That when it comes to us and we go, shit's bad, people just don't fucking hold it as their own. I don't know why that happens. But that's what I think has to occur psychologically, is the same mentality you had about World War II and this deep injustice, which is leading to the deaths of innocent people. You should be feeling the same way. The same way you should feel that way for the sex trade, for young girls that are trafficked. The same way you should feel for poor people who have done nothing wrong and strive every day and yet have an economic system that in no way seeks to support their well-being. If that's not in your mind as your struggle too about what we are as a race of fucking living beings on this planet, if you don't get how that identifies you, that if there were an alien species looking down on us, they'd be like, you're brutal. You're really brutal. You do not care about the people that are like you. You still are fighting about things like the color of your skin. You're still fighting these dumb bullshit socialized notions about what these groups are. instead of going like, you do get, you are the only ones that have your capacity to think and feel on your planet. And you don't watch out for you guys? Like you know what sadness, fear, and pain is. And one of you is coming to you going, this is happening to me. And you're not feeling that? You're not interested in absolving that enough to stick around beyond fucking, what, a month? You know, like, what hope does any group have? And if you think that black people are the minority in the sense of like, it will continue to get worse for us. But I'm going to say socioeconomically, the widening gap between the wealthy and the poor, the largest group is this poverty-stricken group, is this group struggling to survive. And when you're in trouble, right, you're going to want people to be there. When you're in pain, you're going to want people to show up. And it's just like Yogi Berra says, an old quote of his, I always loved it. And he said, if you don't show up to someone's funeral, no one will show up to yours. Which is like a funny way of saying, like, you have to be there in the worst moments. If when you find yourself in a worse moment, you would ask someone to give you a hand. If you really fully hold to the fucking bootstrap notion that you as one person are capable of running, managing, and manifesting your entire life upon your own will and effort, God's fucking speed, that's just not how it works, frankly. And when people are in trouble, what Americans have been, what they can be, and is the people who show up in those moments and watch out. We know that. We tell our kids that. Look out for this person. Protect these people. Don't let bullies run the show. Don't let people who are unkind and mean and ungenerous and vicious and treating people differently for no fucking reason. Don't let them be the bosses. And now there's black people going, this is what's happening. And people are like, well, I'm tired. I'd rather watch another season of Ozark. I'd rather, you know what I mean, take a picture outside by a beach because it's summertime and go like, it's all good for me. And I'm like, yeah. And as long as that continues to go on, as long as people find themselves separate, yeah, just nothing's going to fucking change.